Hey everybody, this is Kurt Molly here with a good friend of mine, Miss KBJ. That would be Kate Buck Jr. So I'm going to do one of these weird long intros so I can brag about her for just a little bit. So Kate Buck Jr., truth be told, I don't know if she'll ever remember this story, maybe, but she's been doing this for about 11 years. We just calculated I've been doing this for about 10 years. Well, when Nick and I first got started, we started working with local businesses. And we worked with local businesses because we bought a program that Laura Betterly said, go work with local businesses. And then there was another program, Let's Be Social, with Kate Buck Jr. that she created with Digital Marketer. We'll talk about that in just a couple of minutes. So we bought and then we borrowed and then we learned a lot of things from that program that helped us then actually launch off our other programs. So little history about KBJ. So she has been doing this, like I said, for 11 years. When I say doing this, meaning organic traffic. Now, the thing is, when we talk about organic social media traffic, done this for, I mean, really you kind of said like a customer service job before / community manager. Then you run into this person named Perry Belcher, who's with this company, Digital Marketer. And this is where literally there are just a handful of people in that company. No one knows who they are at that point. And KBJ starts working in there. And at that point, as she starts progressing, if you've ever gone up to traffic and conversion, probably 9 out of 10 times you would have seen her speaking on stage. You were the first one who taught me about Instagram. The first one who taught me about actually a couple of other emerging platforms, Periscope and a couple others that came out. But here's the two major things that I will always remember Kate Buck Jr. for that I think you should unequivocally know the story for. One, my very first program was called Social Media in 7 Minutes. Nick and I made tens of $20s of dollars with that. We then partnered up with someone else to create a program called Social Media Manager Pro. And essentially, I kind of didn't really know what I was doing with the organic stuff and social media managers. Well, the friend of mine, Jesse Jameson, partnered up with KBJ. They've taken that business and spun this business into something absolutely incredible that has reached people all around the world that train social media managers on the organic approach. And we will talk about that in a minute, but there's a lot of roots that I have with KBJ. We've been on stage together before, but I want everybody to know this. My favorite story is there's someone that
I'm nervous.
This is good. This is totally good. There's a good friend of a mutual friend of ours that everyone knows, Mrs. Molly Pittman, that Molly was hired as an intern at DM. And essentially without all the other details, what ends up happening is there's a bunch of people that come in and they start making cuts. And a bunch of the people ended up being some people. And then it ended up being less than a handful of people. And then this person right over here, which I really respect and admire for, leans over to Perry Belcher and a couple other people. And they're like, hey, you see that one over there, that Molly Pittman? She's special. Don't ever do it. Don't get rid of her. Don't do anything else. And really took her underneath their wing. And like, when you really talk about roots and stuff like that, a lot of people see Molly stick on stage. It's because literally this person over here said, don't let her go. And a lot of that's just history. And that's just one of life that you've affected. So I love you and I appreciate you. That was my long, awkward intro. Thank you for being with us, Ms. KBJ.
Thank you. I halfway feel awesome, and the other half of me feels like a dinosaur. But I was thinking about if I'm speaking with Ryan Stuman recently, and Let's Get Social was his first training, and mentored Molly a little bit in the very, very beginning, and then actually gave her my job when I went back to go freelance after being with Digital Marketer for a little while. And when I left, that's when I was like, yep, Molly should have my job. Like there were other people more senior than her on the team, but I knew she had what it takes. And yeah.
So here's the other thing that I want to clarify for everyone. What do we do with our hands? So here's the other thing I want to clarify for everyone as well too. So KBJ's been doing this for 11 years, but one of my early memories is here at the Internet Marketing Party is KBJ was actually featured in this Fox News special about literally the social media marketing really taking off. And that's when Digital Marketer picked you up, started doing a program with you, started speaking on lots of different stages. Now, fast forward, here's what I love about Digital Marketer. All these guys are a little bit crazy, a little bit irresponsible, a little bit responsible, but they don't just have one business, they have lots of different businesses. So KBJ has formed a great relationship, I know, with Perry and a lot of the guys over there, but really with Perry. And Perry's crazy mind has helped take you across over, what do we talk about, 300 different companies that you've gone over a social media strategy with. Do you mind talking about that for just a minute? Because essentially you developed a process, but after seeing 300, what do you dive into? Are you looking at paid first, organic first? Like, where does your brain start to navigate to a strategy?
Couple years ago, Perry had an idea that we had all of this marketing knowledge. You know, there's all the businesses, and Perry's the idea maker. We have all this marketing knowledge, but we were only using it in-house for sites like Survival Life and whatever, some of the other digital marketer, you know, properties, or what used to be digital marketing. Anyways, he had this wild idea to start an agency, and unfortunately for them, they don't have any agency experience. So I was available, and I came and consulted on what launched what is now called the Platter Agency, which develops content marketing strategies and social media strategies for various types of clients. I think now they specialize in the medical niche, but this was a few years ago when we actually launched it. So of course, we have a great opportunity at that conference we keep mentioning called Traffic and Conversion to have a booth and set up and talk about how we're going to now start selling digital or content and social media done for you services. But I have for a very long time not been a fan of actually doing services right out the gate. When a client wants to engage with me or wants to talk about, can you manage my ongoing social media platform or presence, I first want to see what they're up to. I want to do a bit of research. I want to see what's happening in the competitive landscape and, you know, all the things that you need to do, but that's like, it's a lot of time. It's a big investment. And so I started a long time ago charging for those strategies. There's many, many benefits to that, including it's an opportunity to kind of date the client, interview them, decide if it's even somebody that you want to work with, a business that you want to work with. Are they even as profitable as they say they are, whatever it is. And so
I have a question for you there. So you've already done all the homework. You've already kind of read all the stuff that I sent you, but essentially what happens is there's three different people watching this, right? People who want to learn how to hone in their marketing a little bit more, people who are just getting started, and people who are really experts at this. And what really comes down to, because you kind of talk fast through this, and I want to make sure that nobody misses this, is there's a belief system with like, oh, I got this special client, and then, oh, they want me to do this one thing. Let me kind of figure this out. Hang on. And this was my problem before, is I would take days or weeks to get back to people because this is my pretty little pet and I needed to figure things out and I didn't charge anybody. And this is a belief system that people have. Can you back up for just a minute and talk about that? Because what you just said is people come up and you're like, yeah, I'll charge you for it.
Yeah. So here's the thing. It was a process for me too. When I first got started, and all my social media managers that go through Social Media Pro, you know, you're just getting started. First of all, you don't have any clients. So and possibly no income. It just depends on where you're coming from. So first of all, it's a mindset issue in that you think that every client that comes your way, you're very hungry and you're desperate. Maybe it's not just for the money. It might just be to get your feet wet and to get a client and to get going. So you feel like you need to immediately say yes. We also tend to be people pleasers, right? So we automatically want to say yes. And we want to come up with the right number and we want to do it right. And we want to figure it out. And we want to do all the things like you just said. Oh my God, I almost just picked up my Ethernet adapter and that would have been bad. So, right. And so it takes a minute to unwind. Now, fortunately, like you said, I have 11 years of being a freelancer and doing this. I've had time to unwind those programs and I've had time to establish myself, but there isn't any reason why someone else has to take maybe as long as I did to do it. So once you get to a place where you start to get to be a little picky and choosy about your clients, this is when I started to do this, but you should just do it right off. You should just do it right off the bat, right? The thing is that when a client comes to you, there's no reason to feel anxiety or stress or people pleasing or hurry up. They're not the ones in control here. You are. You're the expert. You have the service to provide. And so one way to kind of take those reins back is to say, great, I love what you're up to. And I'd love to take a peek under the hood and see what's happening. What have you done? What are your competitors doing? You know, all of those things. And that's what takes the time. So what you did is you said, yes, you know, what you're talking about is like meet somebody at internet marketing party. Well, of course I can help you out. I'd love to help you out. Yeah. Let me write you a proposal. Let me tell you how much it costs to work with me. And you give them over there as the client all the decisions. And then what happens? We spend 2 to 3 hours or 2 to 3 days, like you said, trying to come up with this proposal and this number. And then you send this PDF to them and then it sits on their desk and they don't do anything with it. And, you know, or they come back and they hem and haw, it's too much, whatever that whole thing is. I got really tired of that basically. And so there were some stages in between of how this came about. But eventually where I've landed and where I've now been for at least the past 6 years is that when I meet somebody, I say, absolutely, I would love to see if I can help you. Did you already hear the change in my language? Let me see if I can help you, right? Not I can help you. Let me look. Let's take a look. Let's see if we're the right fit for each other. And I'll get on the phone and I'll do a 15 or 20 minute just little interview with them, consultation strategy, throw out a few golden nuggets. Honestly, a lot of times I'm listening for, is this the right client for me? Am
Absolutely.
I making a referral here? Right? I use the language, let me see how I can help you. That doesn't mean I'm going to help you, but your help might be a referral or whatever. So from there, if I've decided through the process of the interview and, I've developed all the questions I know I need to ask to get the answer that I want, at the end of that little 15, 20-minute call, I can say, great, here's the first step to work with me. If you'd like to move forward, all my clients must go through a strategy session phase, a consultation. And this is where I'm going to do, these 3 to 5 things. I'm going to evaluate what you've been doing, what's working and what's not working. I'm going to take a look out in the competitive landscape and see what other people are doing and how you can apply that, and I'm going to formulate a strategy for you that by the end of it, I'm going to deliver this, it's usually like a 40-page slide share presentation. I can do it in 10 minutes. We'll get to that later. Yep. That talks about what they as a business should be doing to promote themselves using content and organic social media, right? And then at the end of that, I'm going to present it to you. We're going to hop on a Zoom call just like this. I'm going to share my screen. You have a chance to ask any questions. I'm going to send you the recording. I'm going to send you the PowerPoint. But at that time, we'll talk about the options. Like I'll know what you need. Do you need advertising? Do you need Pinterest? Do you need blogging? Are you, what is it? Maybe I can't even help you. I don't know. So at the end of that, I'll know. And at the end, I'll make the options. And generally, and actually, here we go. I got these 3 from you. There's 3 things we can do. I can do it for you. Yeah. You can do it all by yourself, or we can do it with you. So basically at the end, I'll have an option if I want to take them on completely as a client where we're doing the implementation. That's one option. There's another option where we just say, thank you, we part ways, and they go implement on their own. Awesome. They're armed now with a lot of knowledge that they didn't have before they got on the call. Or the third option would be a coaching option where I either coach and train you or your social media manager to actually implement these techniques on your behalf. And at that point, I will know exactly what I want to do. And so that question of how much do I charge and what's the value and all of that, it's right there. The other benefit of doing this method is that at the end of that call, they see the value because you've walked them through, well, I have to create a blog post and then I have to, create images for that blog post. And then I have to create a 30-second video clip. And then I have to put it out on all the social media channels. And by the end, they're exhausted. They don't want to do it. And so whatever price tag you're putting on, like, yeah, and I'm going to do 5 of those a week. You're starting to see that they understand the value. And it literally changed my closing rate to, in the 90 percentile. I literally almost never have a client say thank you and I'll take it from here. They almost always want me to hire, find, train somebody, or do it for them.
So a couple of things I want to unpack there. This is really, really good. Thank you for this. So by the way, remember, if you were listening to this recording or watching this right now live or however you're seeing it, remember, if you'd like access to all the recordings, I don't sell them for $97, anything like that. These are golden interviews. So if you do decide to join the belt during the open enrollment, of course, you get access to all these interviews. But also, what I always tell people is, especially during this time when an economic downturn happens, whatever, education really starts taking off. Either people want to get, this is my experience, 2007, 2008, they want to go back to college, get a good education, they want to get student loans, and that whole thing 10 years later didn't work out necessarily so well. There are a lot of people who 10 years ago, and the KBJ, this is really you and I, who decided to sharpen our skills with individual programs where we can learn some really good skills, not necessarily a degree. So if you want to dive deeper with KBJ as we're talking about this, she has an entire system set up for this. So you go to thebelt.live. So it's thebelt.live/KBJ. So thebelt.live/KBJ. And what she's really going to talk about is Social Strategist Pro, which can really put this all into a strategy. I'm going to get there in just a second, which is kind of an open loop. But she said something that was really important. There's a lot of people that I work with right now that are agency owners, people who are running ads, and people who are just getting started. And they feel like they're in 3 different buckets, meaning I just have an agency, so that's the only thing that I'm going to stick with. And if I can't find people for $2,000 to $5,000, I don't have anybody to sell. Oh my goodness, the economy takes a downturn. But you have 3 different offerings. Some people are like, I just want to do a digital product. You said that it is, hey, I'll either consult and I'll do it. You can do it on your own. I'll do it with you, or I'll do it for you. How do you get those 3 different offerings? Do you talk about that in the Strategist at all? Because I think most people only have just 1 or 2 and they miss all 3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I talk about, so in Strategist Pro, I walk you through this methodology, including like the questions to ask on the calls and all of that. But the thing is it's just around pricing. So I do talk about here's what I think it costs to actually implement the entire package. For consulting, here's what it costs if you want one-on-one consulting with me, if you want me to hop on the phone once a week for an hour a week and train you, like screen share, walk you through personally, or the other option with Done with you is the online course, in which case they could either themselves or with so they could put their social media manager into Social Media Pro. And then of course the last one, which is like, I just spent an hour with you. If a lot of advanced marketers, I spend an hour with them, boom, I give them one nugget and they're good to go. Like they can just implement on their own. So yeah, I talk to you about, I do explain how to, if you want, like you did with social media in 7 minutes, you guys had this thing, well, if you don't want to, here's what it costs to hire me to do it for you. But if you can't afford that, or you don't want to do that, maybe a lot of people right now do want it in-house, and I'm a fan of in-house. Right. Like I want to do least amount of done for you kind of as possible, except for super high end. I'm a fan of the person who's in the office, dedicated to the business, having the skills. And also you and I are both trainers in the sense that like, I don't have a scarcity mindset. There's enough work to go around. I want to train as many people as possible. And so if I don't have to take on that stress of done for you, unless you have a really high budget, I'm happy to take on a little stress of done for you. But otherwise, let me train somebody. You will be a lot of businesses will be really happy having a VA who's stay-at-home mom, whatever the situation is, that just learned these skills, that's following my advice, even one of my students or something, for a third of the price, that's doing done for you, and a little investment up front in their training is a smart idea.
That was actually my very next question. So thank you for that. I'm going to unpack that for just a second, which is a lot of people are like, well, I got this agency, so I can only charge these prices, kind of like I mentioned before. And people are like, but I want to take this in-house. And I hear a lot of agency owners go, in-house, that's my competition. And I'm like, I don't know how people don't do this math. And I'm just going to restate it a different way that you did, where it's like, I only want so many clients. There are millions of people out there. I only need so many clients. What do I care if they pay me for agency, which I actually have to work a lot more because I have to do the work, talk to them, explain to them, or I just talk to them. I actually get paid more for consulting and training their internal team.
Yeah.
And they appreciate it more. So
it's the feed a man to fish thing. So yeah, charge 3 times as much to just talk to them. And then what I love about it, and I know people think this is weird, but like then it's over. Like my whole goal is to teach them so much that they don't need me anymore. And the funny inverse whatever relationship about that is that they never not need you, right? Like my whole goal is to give so much value that social media man, I mean, listen, I did that last year. I turned over a very big branding agency that we're both friends with. I took them on. I actually did done for you for 3 months. That helped me really develop, refine, hone the strategies. Then I spent another 3 months with them, moving to the another level where I was training, creating SOPs, right, and getting their team so that on Jan 1 they can fly on their own. And sure enough, of course, they call me every now and again. Hey, can you come down and work on this video stuff with me? Hey, can you create a strategy for this? Or, hey, we're stuck on that, whatever. And so I love that. I love giving it away and sending it back. And you're right. I charge 3 times as much for that, because if I'm doing it for you, my secrets are with me. I'm not revealing them to you. You're getting the benefit, but I'm still owning my IP. At the point where I'm giving you my IP, especially for another agency type client that can turn around and sell that as part of their own stuff, like that stuff is, way marked up. And who doesn't want to get paid to talk? Like strategy at this point is just talking. There's not a lot of preparation that needs to happen. It's just like this. And I'm giving them golden advice that they're going to make a lot of money off of. So I don't have a problem charging a lot for it.
So I want to ask you your thoughts on some organic social media trends in a minute, but I want to jump back to Social Media Strategist Pro. So again, there's different people listening to this, right? Some people are like brand new and like, hey, is there an opportunity that maybe I can just change my job to do something like this? And then, hey, people who want to dive deeper to understand this, would you mind talking just a little bit about Social Media Strategist Pro and Social Media Manager Pro, like what you do, who you help, and who you could help if they want to check out the link that I'll mention in a minute?
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. I mean, this is a funny time because everybody's like, oh, I got to learn to work from home. And 11 years, well, it's a longer story than that. I don't even know if I ever well, that's not true. I've worked in a desk job occasionally, but I was just about to tagline what we just said, where we were talking about and charge 3 times as much to do it. And then you could like add and I get to do it from anywhere in the world, of which I've been to 30 countries in the last 3 years. So this whole thing about everybody having what's going on right now and people having to work from home and learn how to do it. I was on a Zoom the other day and somebody's chomping away and I'm like, oh, 2001 called and they want their they want their conference call etiquette back. But no, the whole thing is like, I was teaching, my degree is in dance. I was teaching ballet before this. I truly believe that everyone has a Facebook account. Everybody has a Facebook account. Everybody has this thing in their hand all the time, right? And so you basically know how to use it. You know how to upload a photo, you know how to share a whatever, you know how to type a status update, you know how to whatever. It's a great entry point for somebody who's looking to provide a service from home. A lot of times in a company, they don't need a strategist, right? Social Strategist Pro really is for somebody who really wants to, who's ready to create organic social media strategies. Really anyone can take it, but it is a layer on top of just being a regular old social media manager, right? Which is where we got started with Let's Get Social, which is like going to a local business and saying like, you should have a post about your pizza going out 3 times a week. Like I'll come in, I'll take the photo and I'll post it for you and I'll charge you a couple $100 a week or something. I don't, it's all in the course about pricing, but like that's a value to a business who's not attending to their social media. And look, right now, when a business has no other way to reach customers, as a matter of fact, I need to reach out because I have a local business here in Austin that effectively has no one coming into the store right now. They're a retail business. They've been here in Austin for 30 years and he's freaking out right now, as he should be, because he has no one coming in. Now, luckily, in his favor, 3 years ago, I convinced him to create an e-commerce part of his website where he could actually sell products online. And so now the idea is he's like, Kate, let's get some traffic going. I got to sell some products. So there's an example of like just going into that local business and saying, hey, I can help you post pictures of your products online. And you just need very little skills above and beyond what you already know in order to do that effectively.
I want to talk about that for just a second, because this all comes down to belief system. This is something that I've worked a lot on. I know you have over the years as well too, where people are like, oh my goodness, I'm scared. Like 2007, 2008, I'm super scared. People who just sit there and do nothing, that's where it gets really, really scary. People who start to make things happen and move forward, that's where you can really start to make things happen. So this afternoon before this call, I was actually walking downtown on 6th Street here in Austin. A bunch of the bars are actually boarded up like a hurricane's coming, because they actually don't know, depending on when they're going to see it. When people watch this in 2020, they don't know if this is, we're filming this in March. People don't necessarily know if it's going to open up in April, May. They're talking about schools being shut down. So what happens is we talk about, let's just say, the restaurant tour. Now, right now in Austin, you can get food delivered. I got some tacos delivered today. I don't know how much longer that's going to last. Now, having an e-commerce store, it's not taking advantage of people who are stuck now. It's helping them pivot to do something else. Because this over here is an uncertain future. And if you've ever read the famous book, Who Moved My Cheese, showing up every single day and worrying about, hey, I think it's going to change, is not going to change your life. Diving a little bit deeper, like what KBJ said, contacting some of these businesses you can't walk into, some phone calls and stuff like that, I think you'd be surprised how many people want to talk and how many people are open to the idea. So, So again, one more time, that is thebelt.live, thebelt.live/KBJ to check out Social Strategist Pro. Now, what I'm very curious on, I learn this from you all the time when you're speaking at Traffic and Conversion and other conferences. So since that's not happening, what are you personally excited about in organic? Like TikTok's rocking and rolling, FaceTime or Facebook Lives or Instagram. Like when you think about, man, organic reach is just rocking it right now, where is that exactly?
Well, honestly, I mean, again, not to continue to talk about this whole current climate that we're in, but I feel like I just got in a time machine and went back to 2008, 2009, when organic pretty much is all that there is. You guys, we used to just like think social media was so cool that like we actually chose to stay home on Saturday nights and tweet with each other and watch movies together and be, you know, I didn't get the nickname like, you know, I call myself the chief geek girl because that was the whole thing. It's like we were just nerds. We had our tweet deck open that you guys don't even know what that is. It had 10 columns on it, 10 conversations happening all at once. I could see what's happening in hashtag Austin, hashtag, I was joking. I joked, I had this thing called Saturday Movie Night where it was a hashtag, we'd follow it, we'd all watch the same movie at the same time. And Netflix just launched an extension for your browser where you can chat on the side and watch the same movie with the same people at the same time. Why? Because we're all stuck at home doing this digital thing. So we are actually in a renewed era of organic because people are just glued to this. They are glued to it for their advice. They're home and they're not doing anything. So what you see is yoga studios, classes online, right? What you see is musicians on Sunday night, just open it up, like have a jam session. I'm in a group where we're doing a meditation every single day for an hour as a group. Like this is the era of organic. If there was ever a time to be doing a YouTube channel, starting your podcast, doing Facebook Lives, if there was ever a time to create content, it was 10 years ago. But if there was any second better time after that, the time is now because people are laid off or, I mean, unfortunately, people are home consuming content and it's a great time to be advertising as well, but there's no reason why you can't be supporting yourself with those efforts. So people that have a YouTube channel or do YouTube lives or have a weekly podcast or whatever, like I'm seeing posts every single day. What podcast are you guys listening to? Like got some free time on my hands. What YouTube channels are you guys checking out? So for a long time now, ever since I did those 300 strategies, one of the patterns that I realized was that multimedia was essential. And there's a hurdle that people don't want to get across with it because it's a little more involved. Like when you could just write a blog post, it's easy. You can hire a writer, you can write it yourself. The technology is not all that involved. But when you have to get on camera, people start having fears. There's all this extra editing, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. You have got, people are consuming multimedia content in rapid amounts. And even now in this little container that we're in, this is what's going to happen. So if you want an opportunity to inherit a new, you know, customer, a new subscriber, it's like, what content are you putting out for them to, and Kurt, again, you know this, the content to create. Can you entertain? Can you educate? And can you inspire? Those are the three types of content that people have always consumed. But if there were, I feel like I'm preaching and soapboxing at this moment. If there was ever a time to entertain, educate, and inspire people who are stuck at home, working from home, trying to figure out what they're going to do with their lives, whatever else, now is the freaking time. Or if you are one of those people and you want to start a business doing anything, teaching knitting, I should be taking my own advice, you guys. Look what Kurt's doing. We're making content. Now is the time to make content. This is where it starts. And so when we talk about organic, like what I'm most excited about is organic itself and multimedia content, because to me, we were kind of, what I thought you were going to tell the story earlier was the time you beat me on stage, but everybody voted for me because it was my birthday. But
I wasn't going to bring that up at all. And it's my birthday next week, but I wasn't going to bring that story up at all.
Well, I just want to say, like, besides that, this looks a little weird. I feel like there's a rebalance. You know, this is the pendulum swinging. And now I'm going to swing it. So yeah, this is the pendulum, right? We started with organic. We swung to the other side where we went all ads, right? And now I feel like we're kind of swinging back to organic. But what's beautiful is because we've had this time with organic and we've had the time to master ads, swinging back to organic actually for me feels like a rebalancing of understanding that true value, giving value via multimedia content, doing a YouTube video, starting a podcast, writing a blog, and promoting that, using the advertising platform to first promote that content, to give value first. And then on the back end of that to say, hey, if you've gotten value from this, I have these other, and to use that as an opportunity to invite people to continue to work with you. That's where we are. And to me, that's been my strategy for a very long time. And so right now we are in the era of organic. Like I've been preaching for people to do organic. I never stopped, even when everyone did ads. And now I feel like we have a good friend, Justin Brooke. You see his posts on Facebook. He writes that is what I'm talking about. He writes a valuable piece of content, maybe once a week, maybe twice a week, whenever he feels like it. It's a long post. It has value in it. And that's it. We're educated, sometimes entertained, often inspired. So those three things, what can you do right now with your phone, with your computer, with your internet connection right at home to entertain, educate, and inspire people? Take the leap right now. Jump off the diving board right now. Organic you have an opportunity. You have an opportunity right now. Take it.
Yeah, there's a couple of things to that. I did an interview with Justin Brooks, which was great, when we were talking about some of the retargeting and stuff like that. And what I've really started to hear, especially with all my friends who are buying traffic, and especially in the trends that we're seeing overall, and so a lot of people know that I run this $1 a day strategy with the bell. I run lots of content. So really, just to be an open kimono, what I'm doing here is I want to interview a bunch of my friends who I knew that they were home and they weren't traveling. So their schedule wasn't booked yet because they didn't have any big ideas. They're just like, man, what are we going to do now? So I just figured I'd start reaching out to a bunch of people. Because we were all supposed to
be somewhere else right now.
True story, right? Second thing is, well, if I just do a bunch of these interviews, it's great with my content because maybe they relate to KBJ, maybe they relate to me. But if they see my face with 40 different other people, oh, this is great. So this is going to work out great for branding. It doesn't really take much to put it all together. But here's what I really want to stress. I want to talk about WeChat for just a second. Justin Brooks made a post about this, was pretty interesting. For those who don't know, WeChat is really in China. But what happens in China is this is like Twitter, Facebook, everything all together. You can shop, you can do everything on there. What people are doing is they're buying a lot more from influencers, not Kim Kardashian, but you kind of like you go and you meet the guy or the girl at your local gas station that you just end up going to every other day because you like to get coffee there and it's very familiar. You start to get to know them. You're not doing business with Exxon. You're doing business because you like that person. So we start to take a look like at WeChat and stuff like that. WeChat is really comprised of a bunch of people who are buying from influencers. And these influencers we consider micro-influencers. So to spin that back over to what KBJ said, this is what I love about Facebook. I said this in another interview with Molly Mahoney last night, which was like, hey, look, I was a short little fat kid in school. And then I grew up to be a taller fat kid that was kind of picked on in high school. And then I really hated school. And then essentially, once I got out of school, and I learned this Facebook thing, jump forward 15 years later, oh my goodness, Facebook finds the right person at the right time who wants to listen to your message. So if I just had to go out there and stand on the street and scream about social media, oh my goodness, that'd scare me. But just producing content, like Kate was saying, Facebook and these other sites actually find the person who most relates to you. So you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. So just producing content, people will start to follow you. You don't need 100,000, 10, 20, 50, a couple hundred people. All of a sudden, someone will reach out and say, hey, you got this social media strategy that you would do for me? I'm really interested. There goes your first client, your second client, and so KBJ.
That's how I got started.
Yes.
That's literally how I got started. I was on Twitter not knowing what the F I was doing, and no one else did either. And so I just kept fumbling around with stuff. And then I'd tweet about it. Oh, I tried this app. It worked. I tried this app. It didn't work. And then people started coming to me going, which app was it that you said worked again? And then I would go, oh, it's this one. And they would go, oh, cool. Can you hook that up for me? And then I'd be like, yeah, sure. And all of a sudden it was actually as we mentioned, Perry, who was like, maybe you should start charging for that. And I was like, oh, maybe I should.
Well, I mean, like what I learned from you was, and this is just such a small little nugget that changed my life. I'd literally be like, man, I love the tacos at this place. Swipe, Facebook. Hey, you guys aren't on Facebook. Yeah. Hey, I can help you for a little bit with some free tacos or like just a little bit, which opened the door. And then all of a sudden I have a couple of clients and a couple more. So I know we're approaching the end of our time. Thank you so much.
I know
for being here.
We could keep going on and on and on and on.
Do you have any closing words? Because again, there's some people just starting out. Maybe there's people who want to make a change or dive deeper with you. Again, that is thebelt.live/KBJ. But any parting words? There's a lot of indecisiveness. People kind of think, what do I do next? What would KBJ do?
When I was laid off in 2009, I just, I was looking for a job and I didn't know what to do. And I heard a little whisper from someone who said, you can find a job if you get on Twitter. Like there's people that are hiring people from Twitter. And I'm really grateful for that little whisper because that's what encouraged me to actually get on Twitter and start using it. And I remember when I first started, I would agonize and stress for like an hour to type anything. So mostly I just hung back and followed people and listened and, or read, I guess, since it's Twitter, right? And I would stress for an hour, delete, type. I was so scared to post anything. Now, usually I'm waking up in the morning going like, oh, shouldn't have tweeted that, or whatever, shouldn't have posted that. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't have any skills either. And not only just for myself, because I also want to say, after having trained thousands and thousands of people, when I see in my group right now, I still have people that have been with me for almost a decade, continuing to learn, continuing to grow their skill set. And they're in this challenging time right now, they are really grateful that they made that investment when they did, because they're not freaking out about their job right now. Maybe they're having to figure out how to position and their clients differently now or something like that, but they have the freedom to work from home. They have the freedom to travel the world if they want to. And these are skills that I think all this is doing right now, this environment is just exposing what was already here, which is the gig economy is here, the freelancer economy is here, the remote economy is here. It has been here. It has just been people resisting it. And online marketing in general is like, there's so many things you can do online, but literally the internet is not going anywhere. You guys know this. And businesses needing to understand how to communicate with each other through this thing called the internet has for some reason always been a weird concept, when it's really no different than how you would communicate anywhere else. It's just a bit of technology involved. So my point is this, is like, if you're like, I have a friend right now, she works at a retail store called Academy. And I've been telling her for a while, like, I give it to her for free. You should take my course. Yeah. You should learn social media. I don't care if you become a social media manager, but you should understand how to use the internet as a business so that you can work in any job that you want to, but you've got to learn these skills somewhere, sometime, somehow. And I know that, Kurt, you've had a lot of really amazing people on that do a lot of amazing stuff and a lot of advanced ninja tactics, a lot of content. If there's anybody who was a dance teacher before and who is not on here saying I am the expert in anything other than I really believed in myself that I could start a business, and I've helped other people to figure out how you can start by picking up one client first. Do it for your church. Do it for a nonprofit that you already work with. Do it for your kids' ballet studio as a volunteer. Like, now is the time to learn these skills. If you've been putting it off this long, and I don't care, you don't have to want to be a social media manager, but you should understand how online marketing works if you want to be in any role, in any company, in any business, anywhere. So if a ballet teacher can do it, and I have case study after case study, my I haven't told you this yet maybe, but my newest case study is Nicole White, who started out 6 years ago or so with me in working as a part-time cashier at Oshkosh B'gosh and store in New Jersey. And she had been through some traumatic stuff, and her therapist or whatever, counselor, encouraged her to learn a new skill or try to do something. And she joined my social media managers group on Facebook. And to be honest, and I tell her this too, she was obnoxious. She had purple hair. She commented on everything. She was always doing stuff. Well, one weekend, I know it's long and it's the end, but one weekend I was going out of town and I was in an urgent panic. I needed somebody to monitor my group while I was gone. I was going to Tony Robbins Date with Destiny. Yep. And my community manager had just gotten a job, and so she wasn't gonna be able to do it. I needed somebody. So I thought, oh my gosh, who's this girl who's always in here asking questions, engaging, showing up, giving value, answering questions, looking stuff up, another case study. So I called her up and I was like, hey, could you monitor my group for me while I'm gone? So that must have been 2014. Yeah. Well, fast forward, let's skip the part where she got hired by Dex Media, which is who owns the Yellow Pages. They flew her and her family and relocated her to Texas so that she could work here in Texas. But last year in December, after a few different tries interviewing at Facebook, she is now the community manager for the Power Admins group. So if you're a group manager on Facebook, you can be a Power Admin. She is the community manager for the Power Admins group on Facebook, and literally started 6 years ago, part-time, working retail at Oshkosh B'gosh, and thought to herself, okay, yeah, I should learn some kind of skill or something. And now she's like living her dream, living in whatever, Facebook land,
Wow.
and being the group manager for the community managers group. So the idea here is, you guys, whatever, this skill will take you far, however you intend to use it. And from wherever you are now, it will take you wherever you want to go. So start by learning the very, very basics. And that's what I teach: how to post a picture, how to help a business, how to talk to a customer, how to do a strategy, how to create a blog post, how to make a little video, whatever. It's the most basic stuff. But guys like Kurt, guys like Brian Stuman, big people always are like, I remember you were my very first course, and I'm now there
Seriously, yeah.
doing whatever it is that they're doing. And so that's
I mean,
where it is. I'm the gateway drug, right? I'm
the
literally
gateway drug.
I'm not trying to be advanced marketer ninja anything. I'm just the gateway drug. So if you're no skills now, you're a cashier at Walmart, you've been filing papers somewhere. I don't mean to put you down. You're a Starbucks barista. That's literally my avatar. You're making coffee at Starbucks and you want to move online. My course is the course that will break the ice for you and bridge that gap.
So to wrap the whole thing up, there's one thing that I want to touch on that you said, where for me, I never wanted to go to college. This is just my belief system. I didn't want to go to college and learn from someone who wasn't actually doing it. I'm like, wait a minute, there are professors that are teaching how to, but they're not. Like, it just didn't make sense to me. Now I miss the community aspect of it, but here's the big deal that I really learned for me is I unfortunately didn't have the chance to go to college just for everything that kind of worked out. But KBJ's taking pictures over here, which is great. But I started learning again, KBJ being one of her first courses, Laura Betterly being one of the first courses that we purchased. Once I started learning very specific skills that I could take action on in a very small amount of time, oh my goodness, my life started to change exponentially. Some of my friends in the down economy, they're like, well, I'm going to go off to college and work on a degree for 5 years. And literally, I'll never forget, there's an avatar. His name's Matt. He probably won't watch this, but Matt's like, Kurt, I'm going to go off and get an MBA. Why would you spend an extra 50 grand? He's like, because people will hire me in SEO. He's about ready to graduate a couple of years ago, looks me up, and he's like, man, Kurt, your business is taking off. You're speaking all around the world. You're speaking on stage. You're blah, blah. Yeah, because a specific amount of skills, and I'm not knocking any degrees, but please, if you were looking for a gateway drug to get into this, please look up KBJ. That is how I got here, thebelt.live/KBJ. I got to run. You're amazing. I love doing this interview with you. There's so many reasons I love you. I'll say that in public and on a recording. You're amazing. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. You're amazing. Thanks for asking me. I'm honored.
You're amazing. You deserve it. You're the queen. Absolutely. Wouldn't be the same without you. All right.
Oh, thank you so much. All right. Bye, everybody. Thanks for being here.
Take care.